That's crazy. Yeah, there is no better representation of how vibes-based this shit is, bro. He doesn't even fucking know what it is. He's like, I just don't remember. Like, he just did a bad time. He just did a bad job responding to a question. I don't even remember what the question was. I just remember how it made me feel. Why the fuck did I get here? Well, we were talking about the GOP debate about how fucking angry people are about China. Let's take a look.
Debate. 7 presidential hopefuls took the stage at the Reagan Presidential Library going after each other. And some also went after Donald Trump for being a no-show, took some shots at Biden as well. Chief Washington correspondent John Carl's in Simi Valley.
Did you just miss all the Evergrande stuff? No, I haven't. But that's actually another great example. Like, people always talk about Evergrande, and people haven't stopped talking about Evergrande and its like default and what that signifies for the Chinese market without fucking realizing that like it doesn't matter. All of this shit is fake. And if the government controls all mechanisms of power, then they can make it go away or withstand the financial damages. Like, constantly talking about Evergrande with respect to like what China what the Chinese economy looks like is so silly when you live in the United States of America, where Evergrande happens all the fucking time, and the recovery almost always ends up benefiting those at the tippy top. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah. The Chinese government bailed out the people, not the bank and the developer. They literally nationalized that bank. It was a W in comparison to America. Exactly. When there are market miscalculations that end up causing financial collapse and failure, their recovery strategy is infinitely better than the American one. Like, literally compare that failure that you're talking about, okay? That failure that you're talking about in comparison to 2008. What conditions allowed 2008 to happen? What lack of safeguarding allowed these conditions to occur? And then what the government did in retaliation or in an effort to save the economy from full-blown collapse? Yes, Evergrande is the real estate, the Chinese real estate company that NPR keeps talking about that is like defaulted because they took on way too much fucking debt. I think someone wants to go outside real quick. So I'm going to run this. And I'm going to go... and we'll dive into the debates of last night.
With the highlights, good morning, John.
Good morning, George. It was a loud and chaotic debate with Donald Trump a no-show here at the Reagan Library. The other candidates spent most of the time going after each other, but at least a couple of them took their shots at Donald Trump, too. About 10 minutes into the debate, 2 of the candidates who were on the stage aimed their fire at the candidate who didn't bother to show up.
Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record, where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have.
Chris Christie taunted Trump over his refusal to debate.
Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on the stage and defending your record.
Yeah, bro, he's afraid of being called Donald Duck. Oh, God, I'm sorry. I couldn't. I had to. I know. Spoiler alert. That was the big fire line from this fucking dipshit. But God damn, it's just like the absolute worst. The absolute fucking worst. Oh, God.
You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
It's just like, it's over. It's so Jover. It was never a thing to begin with, but it's more Jover than it has ever been, okay? He's literally fucking SNL, man. He's doing SNL commentary, man. That's a fire line. What do you mean? You're crazy. Oh, God. Oh, my God. There's no way. People are memeing, right? Chat, please tell me people are memeing in the chat and they're not being serious when they say, nah, that was fire. This is straight up. This is like if you are running in the Democratic primary. Like, this is the kind of corny shit that you would pull off if you were running in the Democratic primary, okay? That's what he's doing. It was fire if you're a 3-year-old? Yeah.
But that was the only mention in the entire debate of Trump's indictments. And there was no mention whatsoever of this week's ruling by a New York judge that Trump's company had committed widespread fraud. It was an unruly debate with the candidates often talking over each other.
This isn't productive.
I want to hear about that. Let's have a policy debate.
What's going on?
The moderators repeatedly had to plead for the candidates to follow the rules.
We cannot talk over each other. We must respect each other's time.
Businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, who harshly attacked his rivals in the last debate, tried to play nice this time.
These are good people on this stage.
But the others weren't buying it.
We think about the fact that Vivek just said we were all good people, and I appreciate that because last debate he said we were all bought and paid for.
Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley.
It's just everyone's a liberal too, by the way. It's just even if you are advocating for the most ruthless, reactionary, fascist policies, because everyone is aesthetically a civility lib, everyone is saying it in like the same exact ways where it's like Mexico is doing a bodies in spaces, and the narco terror that our American citizens have to endure is actually quite traumatic. You know, we're experiencing PTSD from this, and we are going to need to retaliate in this regard because, you know, they're infringing on our liberties as Americans, and it's shit like that. It's all just like fascist policy wrapped up with liberal aesthetics.
Took aim at Ramaswamy for joining TikTok, which is owned by a Chinese tech company, after once calling it digital fentanyl.
This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say.
Haley also sparred with fellow South Carolinian Tim Scott, who she appointed to fill a vacant Senate seat when she was governor.
12 years, where have you been? Where
I voted no on all. I voted on most of those things.
We've waited,
I have voted
and nothing has happened.
Here's what you've
12
done.
years.
Here's the thing that I'm finding.
Trump spent the evening in Michigan speaking to workers at an auto parts plant, but he clearly, George, had the debate on his mind, telling
Why is a British foreign man a judge on this debate of national importance? I mean, you also had, luckily, the Univision person as well. So, Fox. I mean, I'm glad they had the Univision lady on because she actually did she asked like really good questions. Not that they answered those questions because, as I say all the time, it's not about like good things for Americans. It's like if you are running in the Republican primaries, your position has to be, I am going to do all the bad things and I will never allow the good things to happen. Okay? So even when they're like asking serious questions, you know, they immediately would just like resort back to psychotic perspectives.
Workers, quote, that the candidates were running for a job in his future administration or perhaps auditioning to be his running mate.
Well, I guess I wonder if he has a point there, John. I mean, you look at the debate, and I wonder what the point of this debate is. If, with the possible exception of Chris Christie, right there, one mention on the indictments, no mention from the other candidates about the indictments, the civil lawsuits, the incendiary rhetoric where he's making death threats against people like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
I mean, Christie did take him on some of the substantive issues, took him on crime, on border, on his record. But it was remarkable how Trump basically got out scot-free, no major attacks on him from the other candidates besides, suggesting that he should have been there. The Trump campaign, for its part, has called on the RNC to cancel future debates and focus on Joe Biden. That's not going to happen. The big question is whether Donald Trump will show up at any of these.
And I think we know what the answer might be. Okay, John Carl, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking.
CNN anchor reacts to Pence's cringeworthy debate moment.
The worst of their members and defending them.
Why are they not reacting to Chris Christie's most cringy debate
rather than advocating for our kids? And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance that you can take the stranglehold away from the teachers union every day.
You mentioned the president's situation. My wife isn't a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years. And so full disclosure.
Not allowed. Not allowed. It's done. It's done. It's over. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. It's really fucked up.
No. Just no. Let's bring back the panel. Alice, Doug, Margaret, Shelby are here. Margaret, I think we've titled this Black Most Cringeworthy Moments from the Debate. I can't. Why are they talking about education this way?
To be honest, other than that,
I mean, what else are they supposed to say about education? Like, everything else they said about education other than, like, Joe Biden is fucking his teacher wife, okay? And unionized teacher wife. And I'm fucking my non-unionized teacher wife. The rest of the conversation literally was like, we should just kill teachers. Like, if you're in the Department of Education, we're going to fucking hang you, okay? Like, that's the level of commentary we're engaging with. Obviously, I'm exaggerating. That's not what they literally said before you fucking go, actually, they didn't say that. But, like the final outcome that they're looking for is just, like, blowing up the building that has the Department of Education in it.
Cringeworthy moment. To me, the cringiest part was just that everybody was yelling at each other. And it's like, hey, this whole group of 7 people is all trying to break through and displace Trump. And nobody's doing it because they're all yelling at each other.
Have you said who you think has the best chance to win if others drop out? Oh, dude, I have no fucking clue. I guess maybe DeSantis, but I mean, he's looking like the main guy in the polls, but I don't think that he has the best shot. Nikki Haley. I genuinely don't know what will happen if Donald Trump drops out. Like, I just have no idea. It's chaos.
I found it really hard to watch for the duration because of that dynamic.
Yeah, Shelby Talcott, weigh in on that. Did you have the same impression?
There is no chance.
It was distracting. The entire debate was just largely people talking over each other. And the moderators at one point said, hey, listen, when you guys talk over each other, nobody can hear anything. And that was completely accurate. And so you ended up losing a lot of whatever they were trying to say because there were 3 or 4 people talking at the same time. And it was kind of a mess. It was kind of sloppy. And I think that they lost a lot out of it because of that.
One person I kept hearing try to get in through the chaos was Tim Scott. It seemed like he was trying really hard to make a bigger impression. And one of the criticisms of him after the last debate was that he, frankly, missed an opportunity. He may not have made mistakes, but he missed an opportunity. Did he take his opportunity this time?
Well, I think nobody worked harder to insert themselves and unfortunately unsuccessfully than Governor Doug Burgum. And, you know, Doug's got to work really hard to be successful at some of these things and really speak out, all Dougs. But clearly, Tim Scott showed a lot more fire than we saw in the last debate and throughout the campaign. His campaign was saying this was going to be a big night for him, and it was. But again, we have to remember, what are these candidates running for? My prediction for Vivek after this is we're going to see him doing commercials on buying gold or sleeping pills or things like that, not as a serious contender for a cabinet position or president.
It really it is fucked up that they did not do the Survivor bit. Like, why would you not talk about who you would write off the island, man? And then you left it up to fucking Christopher Christie to be like, Donald Trump. Fuck you. God damn it. There was like one good moment there and like they robbed it from us. Ron DeSantis, you fucking piece of shit. Just no fun, no riz, no charisma, just an awful, annoying, smarmy, childish little baby. Okay, he was like, no, I do not want to have fun.
This nomination is not about who comes and rockets into third place after this debate. It's about who can take on Donald Trump, if anyone, and we're still looking for that person.
I have to say there were a lot of MyPillow ads throughout this Fox Business debate. So, point interestingly taken. Alice Stewart, I think this is probably going to be our final word on the Tim Scott, Nikki Haley question. This is a little bit behind the scenes, but when I talk to my sources, there is a lot of bad blood between those two camps right now. And I think you saw a little bit of that on the stage, too.
We saw a lot of bit of that on the stage. And look, Southern hospitality was out the window with the 2 candidates from South Carolina. It was astounding to see. But clearly, Tim Scott went after her for gas taxes in South Carolina when she was governor, and she went after him for what she says he hasn't been able to do in Washington. It was shocking, but again, a lot of bad blood, and they put it out there for all the world to see. But she really held her own again, as she did the first debate with Vivek Ramaswamy. And let me just say in closing, I think one of the best tweet responses to this was from Mark Caputo from The Messenger, and he said, "Find someone who loves you as much as Nikki Haley hates Vivek Ramaswamy." I think that pretty much sums up her performance on the debate stage.
And by the way, Casey, the dynamic that we saw last night with Nikki Haley and Tim Scott is very reminiscent of Jeb Bush versus Marco Rubio. It's personal, it's state politics, it's about appointments to Senates and loyalties.
Earlier tonight.
All right, let's actually hear from the voters.
Scott Jennings
We're silly enough to watch this. Hold on.
Out of his way to underscore the degree to which the campaign from here on out is all about Iowa. Iowa, he said, is everything. With that in mind, CNN's Gary Tuckman in Nevada, Iowa, with voters who watched the debate. Gary?
Anderson, we're 110 days away from the first nominating caucuses here in the state of Iowa, and we have come back to the Hawkeye State to talk to Iowa voters who we watched the debate with. And we're actually in the same county we were in last month, watching that debate, Story County, home of Iowa State University. We have some Iowa State people here because we want to see how their thoughts compare today to how they compared last month. It's nice to be here with you again. Thank you for inviting us. First thing I want to ask you, if you had to write a headline about this debate, what would your headline be?
Shit show.
Republicans angry that they agree with each other.
Okay, you're talking about the commotion there. Yes?
I'd say a really good night for the free marketplace of ideas in the GOP.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Those words, you should be punished for those words coming out of your fucking mouth, dude. I swear to God.
Yes?
Rude Republicans.
Rude Republicans. Did the commotion, the chaos bother you during the debate? Raise your hand if it bothered you. Raise your hand if it was okay. Okay, you're a lone opinion right there. What I want to ask you is this. When we were here last month, I asked the question, who do you think did best? Ramaswamy came in first, Haley came in second, DeSantis came in third last month. This month, who did you pick last month?
I picked Haley last month.
You picked Haley last month when you were here. Who did you pick today?
DeSantis.
Why?
I feel like he represented himself well, and he did a lot to show that he is a true winner that he could win a general election.
How about you? Who did you pick last month?
I picked Haley last month.
And this month?
Haley as well.
How come?
I honestly think both Haley and DeSantis had excellent debates, and I think a lot of Iowans are up for grabs right now, and I think DeSantis has long been looked at as the main alternative in the race, and I think the fact that she has strong favorability, polls the best against Biden, had 2 strong debate performances, and when people meet her, they like her, and so I think that'll give a lot of folks a reason to look at her, so I just think she'll see a large boost, but I also think DeSantis did himself well tonight, too.
Last month, who did you pick?
Haley.
And today?
Haley.
And how come?
Every single time she went to the debate,
she's the fucking GOAT, dude.
She was realistic, she had the facts, and she was strong. She showed what a true leader does, and she takes control. And I like that about someone who's running for president. They are someone who can exhibit a lot in themselves, and that's what she did.
And last month, who did you pick?
Vivek.
And today?
DeSantis.
How come?
I thought that DeSantis, because Vivek won the last debate, and I think that was the overall consensus, he was the target tonight. And so I think that took a lot of the personal attacks away from DeSantis, and he was able to speak to the issues more than everybody else. So I thought that was important.
And I think what's interesting about this group is of these 18 people, 16 of them are undecided. They don't know definitely who they'll caucus for come January. 2 people have made decisions. This gentleman right here, who have you decided on?
Doug Bergman.
Okay, so you like Burgum. And you?
Ron DeSantis, military veteran to Iraq.
Okay, and what's interesting is none of you are ready yet to vote.
Ron DeSantis didn't talk last night? No, he did. He did. He actually had, like, I think the second highest talking time. But it is interesting because he talks a lot in these debates, and yet he has, like, very little memorable moments. I don't know how. I feel like he has a way of saying a lot and still, coming across like he's not saying too much, I guess.
To caucus for Donald Trump, the former president of the United States. Something that was brought up quite a bit tonight by Christie, by DeSantis. Is Donald Trump disrespectful to Republican voters like you for not being part of these debates? What do you think?
No.
Yes. No, and yeah, how come? No.
I just think that, it's his decision. It's a personal decision. And I think
You're asking a bunch of Republican voters who, listen. Americans have like a cuck coefficiency, okay, that is significantly higher than the rest of the world. Okay? It's how much cuckening and cuckoldry you will withstand without actually pushing back, right? In comparison to other countries, like America has probably the highest rate of cuckening and cuckoldry that they will take in comparison to other nations. But ultimately, I would say that Republicans especially are the largest group of cuckolds. Cuckening isn't a word? Well, it is now. And the reason why I say this is because, they regularly vote against their best interests, even when Republicans are openly stating it's against their best interests, right? So, for that reason, asking Republican voters, prospective Republican voters, Donald Trump didn't attend the show. Don't you think that that's fucked up? Is never going to yield the responses that normal human beings should give to that question, which is yeah, it's kind of fucked up that he doesn't think it's he's not taking this shit seriously enough. They're going to say, no, it's best for him. He told me it's the best thing to do. I'm going to shut the fuck up and I'm going to listen. That's what they do. That's what Republicans do. So why would you ask him that question?
he feels like he has a lot of people that just know what he's about. He's been here several times. He's done several rallies. He's done lots of interviews. And so I think he probably feels like that kind of takes the place of him having to be on the debate stage. And I don't think he feels like he has a really good shot with what's happened in the past.
Would you like to hear him talk about the abortion issue, for example?
It bothered me, the abortion issue that's come up. Yeah.
That he wasn't here. Okay. What about you?
I think it's disrespectful that he didn't come to try to earn Iowans' votes, because so many people's votes are still up for grabs here in Iowa. And so not coming to try to earn that with the other candidates.
Yeah, this is the one way to trigger an Iowa voter, by the way, is to make it seem like Iowa doesn't matter. Because, this is the one thing they have. Okay? Iowans are so goddamn annoying. Voters in Iowa are so goddamn annoying. This is what these motherfuckers are up against. Yeah, more Republicans see Trump as a person of faith than Pence and Romney, dude. Republicans, 53% of Republicans say that Trump is a person of faith. 14% of Democrats say that, and 19% of independents say that. When you ask the percentage of Republican voters who said, is this political figure a person of faith? 53% said Trump is, 52% said Pence is, and 35% said Romney is. Care to question why? Evangelical Christianity. Evangelical Protestantism declares Mormonism to be an aberration, an affront to God, devil worship. That is precisely the reason why Mitt Romney, despite being probably one of the more faithful people in Congress, genuinely faithful people in Congress, they do not consider him to be a real Christian, because evangelical Protestants think Mormons are devil worshipers. That's right. This is also part of the reason why I say they would never in a million years vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. They fucking think Mormons worship the devil. You're out of your fucking mind if you think they would vote for someone who's even outside of the Christian faith. Okay? I personally believe the reason why evangelical Christians think Mormonism is bad is because they're jealous. Okay? Mormonism is the superior form of American Christianity. They believe that America is the chosen land by God. Jesus Christ is actually blonde and blue-eyed, literally did not allow black people to be a part of the religion, and thought that all evil came from being black. And when you were punished for your crimes, you would become black. Like, it is the most fundamentally American religion you could have. It literally centers around American exceptionalism, American individualism. Mormonism is the American religion. So much so that the American government aggressively pursued them for wanting to do polycules, which is really fucked up. Okay. I'm sorry, but that's not Christianity in any shape or form. Who's to say? Are you Joseph Smith, our holy Lord and Savior, who happened upon treasures left by God in upstate New York in a fucking backyard? No? Well, then shut the fuck up. What are we talking about? Trump himself has noted his policies benefited social conservatives. Oh, for the record, if you are confused, you're like, okay, well, you know, they think Mormons are devil worshippers, so they don't think that Romney is a real Christian or a real person of faith. Okay. Then what about Michael Pence? Mike Pence is a real person of faith, and I mean that as a pejorative, in a negative, okay? So why is Donald Trump considered to be more of a faith, by more people, a person of faith than Mike Pence? That's because, once again, evangelical Christianity has nothing to do with Christianity or following the good book or what the Lord teaches. It's about doing pain to your enemies. It's about vanquishing your foes, okay? There are demons everywhere, left and right, and we must vanquish them. And Donald Trump does so much better with the spiteful nonsense, despite the reality that everybody fucking knows deep down inside that he does not give a single fuck about religion. Well, let's get back to this.
I think is a sign of disrespect, and I don't think he earned anyone's vote by not coming.
All right, here's what I want to ask: a show of hands now. Okay, I'm doing alphabetical order. Who you think did best during this debate? All of you. Burgum. 1. Christie.
Wait till he finds out there's a current Mormon in chat. Me? What do you mean? I got no issues. I don't give a fuck.
Okay, so his toughness didn't appeal to anybody tonight. DeSantis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Haley.
Bro is literally in the polycule tweeting or twitching at me. You know what I mean? He's like, man, listen.
All of you. Burgum. Okay, I'm doing alphabetical order. Who you think did best during this debate? All of you. Burgum.
One guy? Where are my burger maniacs at? Where are the burger heads at, dude? Are you fucking joking? Dude, he had it all, man. He fucking shut down the Latina lady over and over again in like a very racist way, in my opinion. Like so much so that it like after the fourth time, I was like, okay, this got to be racist, right? But he just kept talking over her. Like he just was like, listen, I'm from North Dakota. I've never seen someone that's not white. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I don't understand what's going on.
1. Christie. Okay, so his toughness didn't appeal to anybody tonight. DeSantis.
Oh, his toughness didn't. No, he's just fucking. He's a loser, man. Thank God Burgum actually squeezed out the Christie lead there. Respect for the Burgomaniac.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Haley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pence. Ramaswamy. 1. Scott. All right, so it looks like DeSantis, the winner in this room. Who do you think this was a bad night for?
Pence.
Pence. Why are you all saying Pence?
I think he completely destroyed his credibility. He was directly questioned on his record during the Trump administration on, I forgot what issue specifically was brought up, but he had no defense that they had campaigned on, again, I forget the issue specifically,
Obamacare.
and he
Obamacare.
didn't.
That's crazy. There is no better representation of how vibes-based this shit is, bro. He doesn't even fucking know what it is. He's like, I just don't remember. Like, he just did a bad time. He just did a bad job responding to a question. I don't even remember what the question was. I just remember how it made me feel. Okay? And that's kind of true for a lot of stuff in the political realm. It's just people just remember how you made them feel. Okay? Everything is vibes based. They don't give a fuck about the issues, dog. No shot. Plus, why would you really? Why would you give a shit about the issues? Because you're voting for the Republican in the Republican primary. Like, if you actually cared about the issues, you would just not vote in the Republican primary at all. You would just not vote for the Republican Party in general. You would probably not even vote for the Democrats, let's be real. But, like, you definitely wouldn't vote for the Republicans, right? So dumb.
But Obamacare, yes. They didn't follow through with that, and instead of answering the question that was given to him about why that wasn't followed through, and
I would follow up with this fucking little shithead about what he thinks about Donald Trump then. You know what I mean? Because, like, it's not like Mike Pence, he's the VP. So what do you think about Donald Trump not following through on Obamacare? He'd be like, I like that he didn't do it.
will he do differently as president himself? He just went off about something completely irrelevant and never answered the question.
A lot of you raised your hands about Pence. Who else raised their hand about Pence? Why do you think that?
Well, I think that he comes across a little bit like not very believable to me. He's rather pious sounding in his manner.
He's too religious for people to literally perceive him as like a real person.
And it makes it come across like, I'm just a politician trying to get your vote, and he doesn't seem as believable as he could.
So the final question, do you think this was good for the party, this debate tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone have a problem with the debate, with the commotion? You.
Well, it's not with the commotion, but I think the...
Oh, one other aspect of this is authenticity. Americans, we're hyper-capitalist, hyper-individualist, very entitled, not very smart. And for that reason, and you see this online all the time, the only way to signal authenticity online is by doing what? Being a fucking dickhead. Okay? Being honestly dishonest. Okay? Openly corrupt. That's what Trump does very well. He's like, listen, I'm a bad guy, but I'm your bad guy. I'm a bad guy, but I'm your bad guy. And that's precisely what plays really well online with a lot of kids. That's precisely what plays well with these guys who are also, kid-brained. Because people think that if you are nice, well, no one is nice. I'm a bad guy, so everyone else must be a bad guy too. I'm deeply insecure about how I behave. I'm a bad guy, so everyone else that is a bad guy is also real, just like me. That's in many respects, that's why the vice signaling works so well. So just remember that. That's why I say it's all fucking vibes based.
Format doesn't allow the issues to be expounded on by each individual. The moderators had way too many subjects, and they had one or two people speaking on each subject. I think there are too many people in the debate, and I think that needs to be ironed out.
What a lot of these folks have told me today is they'd like to see microphones turned off at times. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you all for inviting us. And as you can see, in this room at least, here in the state of Iowa, a good night for DeSantis. Anderson.
Gary, thanks so much, and thank everybody in the room for us. Always fascinating to hear.
Yeah. It is, and so you're listening to Iowa voters there. I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4. I've been in touch with some of the voters we're working with in Iowa and New Hampshire, and you get the same impression there in terms of the people who were for Haley going in were for Haley coming out. You see the reaction there with Gary's group. DeSantis doing okay, which is good for Haley and DeSantis, and it's better for Donald Trump because you keep the two people. If the potential breakout candidates are Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, is there a third? No one, Ramaswamy maybe after the first debate, maybe he did come up some. But if they're all just trading votes back and forth, and Trump stays at high 30s or 40s, and in some polls he's around 50 in these states. So the question is, there's another debate in, I think it's 42 days or 41 days from now. Number one, can anybody start to pull away into a solo second place as opposed to a bunch? And then number two, you heard it from those voters there, A, how many qualify by the RNC rules? They're tougher for the third debate. And then B, do the donors and some other big people in the party start to saying, look, sorry, you three got to get out so that these four can stay in and, fight Trump.
I think the Pences of the world, the Christies, even the Tim Scotts, I mean, the reaction in that room to those names.
Pretty brutal. Yeah.
It was brutal. And they're not doing what they said they set out to do by being in the race. It really raises the question.
Practically speaking, why don't they pull the Dems and consolidate with the one dude? Because Donald Trump is the Republican Party. Donald Trump is the Republican Party. The Republican Party is Trump's party. And the voters like Donald Trump more than they like anyone else. So even if there was a big push from institutional power in the Republican Party, those who want to continue the legacy of the Republican Party, those who want the party to continue thriving and ever winning power ever again, and they just backed one horse. I don't even know who that horse would be. Nikki Haley is a woman, so there is issues there in the eyes of the Republican base of support. And obviously, Ron DeSantis is fucking Ron DeSantis and is gross. He radiates nervousness and an energy that people just don't like. And as I've told you, it's all vibes-based to begin with. So you run into the issue of which horse to back. Okay. And then after which horse to back, you run into the issue of how that horse will be able to defeat Donald Trump. All of the rest of the fucking party consolidates behind one guy. They still don't meet Donald Trump. Donald Trump still wins in that situation. And now in the general, you pissed off a lot of fucking people who either wanted to not vote for Donald Trump and are pissed off that Donald Trump is a candidate, or people who wanted to vote for Donald Trump and are now pissed off. I mean, they'll still vote for Donald Trump, but there will be plenty of people who did not want to vote for Donald Trump and did everything they could and still lost, that will just go, oh, fuck this. I'm not voting then. Fuck you guys.
And what is the rationale going forward? And I think the voters in the Republican primary have been saying through the polls for a pretty long time, the folks in the low single digits, you're not seeing a whole lot of movement there. And yet they stay in the race for whatever their personal rationales are. And it's not really changing. You're seeing movement higher up, 5 and above, in the low teens. That's where all the action is. So for whatever that's worth, that may guide where this all goes.
Where was Obama 100 days out in Iowa? I mean, Trump has a lead way bigger than Hillary Clinton ever had. Trump has the biggest lead
he was
ever.
In the 20s.
He was in the 20s.
In fact, there was an ABC poll in late August that had him in the lead. He wasn't, but
he was already.
He was on the way. He was on the way up. But I would just say one thing: Christie's not running in Iowa, and you wouldn't expect him to do well with this group. He's putting his chips in New Hampshire. The latest New Hampshire polls show a bunch in second place with DeSantis,
10, 11,
with Haley. Christie and DeSantis. But the interesting thing about that, and I honestly think this, I think Donald Trump is in a very good position, and it's going to take a lot to dislodge him. The one thing that's interesting about Haley is she's competing in both Iowa and New Hampshire. She's actually well positioned in New Hampshire to do well, maybe not to beat Trump, but she's moving up there. If she were to do well in Iowa, even if she doesn't win Iowa, and I remember, this may even predate you, John, but in 1984, Gary Hart got 16% of the vote in Iowa. Walter Mondale, who was the runaway frontrunner, the former vice president, got 49, and Hart won New Hampshire. He catapulted out of there. He'd finished second. He won New Hampshire, and then it became a race. Now, Mondale ultimately won. I'm not predicting that's going to happen, but Haley, there's a lot of interest in her. I think there'll continue to be a lot of interest in her after this debate.
She's also well.
Dude, if I'm Chris Christie and my co-hosts are talking shit about my prospects that I have been telling them for the past month or so, for the past couple of months at this point, that that's where I'm going to make my strike. fuck easy. I'm going to ban you permanently again. You have to stop spamming, dude. Please stop fucking spamming. Jesus Christ, you're so fucking annoying, dog. We literally unbanned you after your girlfriend begged to get you unbanned, and you literally do not stop. Okay? Please. If you spam something for 8 times in the fucking chat and I don't respond, I'm not going to respond to you. Stop fucking spamming the same goddamn link, dude. Fuck Easy's got a girlfriend and none of y'all do, dude. Think about that, okay? Just spam 3 times. If I don't fucking respond, I don't click on your link, then no, it's not happening for you. I promise. Some of y'all need to get your link privileges taken away because right now, as it stands, if you subscribe at the top of the hour, you get to send me fucking shit that you want me to look at. And some of you abuse it, okay? Now, of course, there's still plenty of benefits, like avoiding the top of the hour ad break, which is 3 minutes long at the top of the fucking hour. So that's a pretty solid benefit in my opinion. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. I mean, we can do that. Make it so that fuck Easy can't at me and send links. And then that would like clean up his chatter behavior.
But with me now is the presidential candidate, Ron DeSantis. Not a lot of sleep last night. He's with me in California now. And, sir, wanted to squeeze you in here and get your reaction to the events of last night. However, I want to begin with the hearing that we have right now on the president. Do you support the investigation into President Biden and his son?
Absolutely. This family is potentially the most corrupt presidential family in history. Joe Biden's already lied about the business dealings. We know that. We now see $250,000 going to Biden's address from China. So this stinks to high heaven. They're right to do it, and I support it. I would also point out that, when you talk about things like impeachment, one of the things is just violating your oath of office. And I look at what's happening at the southern border. He took an oath to support and defend the Constitution, make sure that the laws are faithfully executed, and he has absolutely defaulted on that obligation, and we see the carnage that's happened. So I think there's a whole host of things to look at, but certainly this corruption is real. They need to produce the goods, of course, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And here's the thing: if all this was on the up and up, I don't think he would have been lying about it for all these years.
Well, we'll see how Republicans go during this hearing. Let's talk about last night quickly, okay? I thought one of your better moments was the top of the second hour when you were talking about education and your experience in Florida as governor. And then you went into...
yeah, when he said he's going to ban the Chinese from attending universities, I thought that was fire, man. Thank you. I love that.
What I think many would consider a rare moment. You talked about your military service. Watch here.
Wait, what?
Had a lot of opportunities to make money, but I wanted to serve, and I'll never forget coming back on the plane from Iraq, landing in Coronado, California, North Island, and feeling that breeze off the Pacific Ocean and say, you know what? I am lucky to have been born an American, and I think being able to serve, and I'll be the first president elected since 1988 who's actually served overseas in a war.
Governor, the reason I wanted to play...
Bro, he was a lawyer. He was a lawyer in the military. All he had to do was just say, yes, this kind of torture is legally permissible. That's what he did. He acts like he fucking saw combat, dog. Yeah, the only thing he fucking served was papers. I'm not, dude, if he wasn't a Republican, dude, God, Republicans are allowed to do this shit. Republicans are allowed to do this shit, and it's so annoying to me, okay? Because if John Kerry, who, like, was literally a Purple Heart medal recipient, okay, was destroyed, and they said, oh, your fucking Purple Hearts are probably fake, dumbass. Fuck you, I bet you're gay. Like, Ron DeSantis should not be allowed to fucking act like he was, diving out of Black Hawk helicopters. I hate that so much. John McCain was prisoner of war, and Trump was successfully able to say, hey, look, I like my fucking heroes that weren't captured, you know? I feel like the Arizona moderates did not like that. And they loved it so, they love John McCain so much that they've been punishing the Republican Party mercilessly since. But, like, I hate John McCain. I think John McCain's a fucking idiot. Who gives a shit? Well, I also think he's a based anti-imperialist hero that dropped many imperialist pig dog planes. But like, he said that, and then Arizona was like, okay, fuck you. All right, let's ball. Fuck it. We ball, dude. Arizona is the never Trump Republican state.
Play that is because some Republicans have been critical of you because they believe you lack a bit of a personal touch. But that answer was different. Why'd you go there?
Well, Bill, I think sometimes people want to know more.
Damn, dude. Did you guys notice how he took the dick out of his mouth to ask that question for 1 second? That's wild. He's like, dude, a lot of people criticize you for being impersonal and like a lizard person, but you really came across as personable when you lied to everybody on the debate stage about how, like, you know, you were fucking serving and saw active duty in combat.
About you. Now, my view on typically running, I want to tell you what I'm going to do for you. But when you're in a presidential situation, people kind of want to know what drives you. And, I just pointed out I was a blue collar kid working minimum wage jobs. I ended up getting degrees from Yale and Harvard Law School, come out more conservative than when I went. I had a lot of opportunities to do very well financially. And coming from blue collar roots, I think most people would have took that. But I felt the obligation to serve. I left a lot of money on the table. But being able to wear the uniform, volunteering to go to Iraq, it's an important part of who I am, and I think as commander-in-chief, it will inform my judgments about how to do it. And then it was just interesting being back in California, where that was where we had deployed from, and that's where we came back, and so it brought back a lot of old memories. We actually did an event on Sunday night at the VFW in Coronado, so we had a lot of great veterans, and people are appreciative to have a veteran running for office.
Let me try and squeeze in a few more before we get back to this hearing. In debate number 1 back in Milwaukee, you didn't go after Donald Trump, but last night you did. Why?
Well, he's missing in action, Bill. This is something you have to earn. Nobody is.
Dude, they are trying so hard. They're trying so hard to pump my man's stocks, dude. It's crazy. Like, he didn't do shit. He, like, barely snubbed Donald Trump, like, twice. Like, wow, remember when you daggered Donald? You hadn't done that before. It was really cool when you did that. Why did you do that? And it's like, did he do that? Is that the takeaway from anyone that watched that fucking debate? I don't think people are gonna. Like, I get it. Donald Trump is the god, right? He's the GOAT. He's the OG on the block. So obviously, like, any kind of criticism of him is seen as like way more aggro than it would. But like. Like, Chris Christie's been out there dying to get pot shots at Trump, and nobody on Fox News gives a fuck. The one time DeSantis is like, where is Donald Trump? Why is he not here? Everyone's like, oh, man. Fox News is like, man, that's sick. Thank God.
He is entitled to this. I remember back in 2020, I had a big party in Tallahassee for that first debate that Trump did with Biden. And the reality is Biden beat Trump in that debate. Biden, and I don't know how you could lose to Biden in a debate, but that happened. And so we're in a situation now where we're not getting a mulligan on the 2024 election. We've had 3 election cycles in a row as Republicans where we've underperformed. Not in Florida. We set the standard in Florida. We got to get this right. We see the country's in decline. We can't just be content with managing this decline. We've got to reverse it. We need an American revival. I think what we've shown in Florida is that it is possible to do. President Reagan was somebody, when he came in, because we were at his library, people said it couldn't be done. We're in an era of limits, that the Carter performance was basically optimal at that point for America. Ronald Reagan rejected that, and I'm rejecting that here right now, and I have the ability to get the job done. So he owes it to the voters to defend his record, to defend the decisions he's made, and also to defend why is he running on the same program in 2016.
I don't get it. Defend his record. You can't, on the one hand, claim your record is fire in Florida, and that's why you're winning in Florida. And then simultaneously be like, Trump needs to defend his record. You're Trump. You're literally, like, your appeal in the national politics sphere comes from you trying to be Trump. It's so bad.
16 that he did not actually implement. For example, draining the swamp. He didn't fire Christopher Wray. He didn't fire Anthony Fauci. He didn't do anything to clean house. Now, all of a sudden, he's going to slay the administrative state when he gave Fauci an award his last day in office. What about all the spending and debt? They racked up massive amounts of debt, particularly in his last year in office. Of course, you're going to end up leading to inflation when you do that. So I think on issue after issue, he owes it to the voters to come out and do it. And I'd say the final thing, Bill, he's had a lot to say about me on social media, really since 2022, right before the midterm election. He started attacking me when we all Republicans were supposed to be united for a red wave. No, he tried to attack me and has been doing it a lot. You know, it's one thing to do it behind a keyboard. Step up on stage and do it to my face. I'm ready for it. You used to say I was a great governor. Now, all of a sudden, you're saying the opposite. Let's have that discussion, and I'll do it. We could do it one-on-one. I was with Sean last night. Let's do that, and let's give the American people the choice that they deserve.
You may not get that opportunity. I'm not sure if he's going to participate in any of these primary debates, but we'll see. You saw the polling numbers in this past weekend from NBC and ABC. You know what the reality is. You trail him in some cases significantly. I've heard you speak.
Yeah, but that's when you get into these early states, Bill, it's very fluid, and you've seen this. You talk about those polls. They say 20% are definite Trump, 35% in Iowa are definitely not, and the rest are considering Trump or others. And so you can look at a poll, but a lot of these voters are just now starting to pay attention. So the idea that you take a poll.
Yeah, totally. Famously, Trump is a newcomer to the field. So what you're saying is totally relevant here. You know, because no one knows who Trump is. Like, they're paying attention to him for the first time ever. Hey, idiot. You're so fucking stupid. That only works if you got two presidential prospects that have never run for president before. Okay? That argument goes out the window when you have like a built-in incumbency advantage. As the former president. What do you mean? Like, he's literally looking at polling to be like, well, a lot of people don't know. They're just not paying attention. It's like, yeah. Them just not paying attention works against you in a serious way. Why? Because so far, every single time you have appeared on camera, your approval rating has gone down. Okay? You're trending downwards because people, when they do find out about you, despise you. People already know Trump, and they've already made up their minds on Trump. So 35% of Iowans say, we're not voting for Trump. You're fucked. That means the rest of them are like, oh, we're voting for Trump. Unless a unknown who people are introduced to is so likable and so unique that some of those people turn around and say, all right, you know what? Fuck it. This guy's who I'm going to vote for. Look at that. Look at that, dude. His favorability has tanked. The more he's on camera, the more people are like, you're gross. Please stop. You're disgusting. It would be hilarious to see Trump absolutely annihilate DeSantis face to face. Ronnie wouldn't come up to Trump's chin. Just no show that the squeaky voice loser ever breaks 20% in an actual vote. Yeah, 100%. That's the other side of it, which is like, be careful what you wish for, Ronnie. Like, Donald Trump would fucking eviscerate him. How could you fail as a conservative? You literally just have to play culture wars. No, you can overplay your hand with culture wars, for the record. which Ron DeSantis literally did. If you want to understand how to fail as a Republican, look to what Ron DeSantis did. One, he is pathetically unlikable. And every time he talks, people fucking hate him. Two, he hit the culture war button so hard, he actually forgot what the culture war was for. The culture war is supposed to be a distraction that allows you to act like you're different than the Democratic Party as you do everything in your power to pick apart the federal government or the state government and deregulate industries and allow corporations to continue bringing in record high profits. Cannot, under any circumstances, especially not as a Republican, turn around and actually use the culture war narrative to a degree where you end up using big government initiatives to hurt the most successful business in your fucking state. Does Florida actually hate him? I think Florida has a massive influx of reactionary migrants. Like, and I don't mean like, Cuban and Venezuelan asylum seekers. I mean like Californians and shit, or people from Iowa and Ohio that like move into Florida, even though there are reactionary migrants that come into Florida as well. But I'm talking like hogs from Ohio that are like, hell yeah, brother, I want to go to the free state. So I think that it doesn't really matter how bad Ron DeSantis is. Like, they love him. But I do think that some of the policies that he's pushed for at the state legislature are too distracting. And it's all dependent on like how people feel in Florida. Like, are they suffering under the economy? Do they perceive his like abortion ban to be way too far? They should. I think that like his another misstep for Ron in Florida was when he did the anti-immigration thing, which ended up hurting agriculture and construction in the state. Where like a lot of immigrant workers were just like, okay, I'm not showing up to work. I'm fucking leaving the state. And it seemed like a lot of people were frustrated with that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that he does that people get mad about.
In September, and then you disenfranchise the voters' ability to make things, make their choices. I can tell you this, in Iowa and New Hampshire, those voters expect you to show up. They expect you to participate in the process, and I think he's running a risk for his candidacy by not doing it. Obviously, he'd be running a risk by getting on the stage because it's not been something he's been willing to do, but you owe it to the voters to get up there and defend your record.
I've heard about your strategy in Iowa. You're trying to get to all 99 counties, and that should happen sometime this fall. Let's see when that does happen. On foreign policy, I've listened to your some of the positions you have taken. But however, on Ukraine, last night you said there should be no blank checks. As you're aware, there's a debate within the Republican Party, especially in the House now, about how much aid should go to this current war. When you say no blank checks, are you suggesting that there is support on your behalf for those Republicans who think we should pull back from the aid that we're giving to Ukraine?
Well, as I understand, a lot of those Republicans, they're making the point of how do you do that while ignoring these massive problems here at home, for example, with our own southern border. And I also think an issue that was kind of raised last night, we didn't get to flush out, is Biden's policy is basically Europe first. He is not doing what he needs to do to deter China in the Indo-Pacific. He will say, and some of the people on the...
Wait, what? Biden's policy is Europe first, not fucking Indo-Pacific first? Are you so dumb that, like, you've lost your mind? Brother, like, at first I was about to say, okay, doing a decent job dancing around the Ukrainian issue because, like, it's not popular, generally speaking, and it's certainly not popular in the Republican base of support, which I told you months ago that this was going to be the case, and a lot of you at the time are sending me poll results about how popular help to Ukraine is. couple months back, I told you that like during the election cycle, Ukraine and money to Ukraine is going to be an issue that Republicans will be against. Now, having said that, that's understandable. It's understandable to take like a more wishy-washy position on this, because on the one hand, you have the interest of the military-industrial complex, which you need to maintain to win any election, really, and that's where the Ukraine money is going to, and also some American industry as well. Wait, what? You said that Ramaswamy fucked up because Republicans don't support Russia? No, man. Republicans don't support Russia, and they don't support Ukraine. They don't give a fuck. How do you not understand what I'm saying? If you turn around and say, oh my God, I love Russia, actually, Russia's doing the best in Ukraine, you're gross. It is basically the difference between having a psychotic opinion on trans issues and having no opinion whatsoever. Okay? Most people just have apathy towards trans people, for example. They think like, yeah, trans people are kind of weird. I don't really understand it. Ew, like, I don't want to think about it. Once you move beyond that point and you become the children's genitals are being mutilated kind of guy, then you're gross. You're gross. You're icky. Same goes for pro-Russia positioning in the Republican Party. Okay? If you're a Republican, it makes sense to you to say, why the fuck are we giving so much money to Ukraine, dog? This is crazy. Okay? We should go and I don't know, invade Mexico instead. Republicans look at that and go, you know what? You're right. Border wall for me. If you become the pushing Z guy and you're like, actually, we got to do everything we can to ensure that, you know, Ukraine, which means the border, by the way, actually belongs to Russia and should belong to Russia, then you're a freak. You're a psycho. What the fuck? Why do you care about this? Ew, get away from me. Now, of course, the inverse of that isn't true. If you are that invested in like pro-Ukraine, you're not going to come across as weird as the pro-Russia guy, obviously, because Russia is the USSR. It's communism. There's too much Red Scare propaganda associated with Russia in the same way that there isn't really with Ukraine. So Ukraine is like a relatively new thing for Americans. So the way that they look at it, if you're pro-Ukraine, that's fine. Like it's understandable. A lot of media has been cut in that direction. Like, people don't think about it beyond the real reasons as to why NATO operates in the region or what Ukrainian demands and needs are, whether Ukrainians are dying or not. You know what I mean? They don't care about any of that shit. Russia is not USSR, little bro, is such a funny take to tell me. Okay, you think I don't know that? I'm talking about the way that the average American feels about Russia. That's why I've always made fun of Republicans who are like extra stupid, because like after a century of Red Scare propaganda and hating the USSR and hating Russia, you turned around and started loving Russia because like of a couple Telegram channels where like a bunch of dudes, okay, a bunch of dudes living in like fucking Hungary sent you text messages saying like Putin is actually killing trans people and he's defending Western civilization. Like that's how quickly you rewrote. That's how quick it was for you to fucking override like 100 years of Red Scare propaganda that like now they swapped that fast from that's the ultimate bad country to the good country. You are like a uniquely stupid person in that situation. That's there is anyway. So as far as like Ukraine goes, like when he was saying like, oh, we shouldn't do a blank check, like that's actually good messaging for the Republican primary. Okay. It's not bad messaging for the Republican primary, but then he turned around and was like, Joe Biden is going Europe first and not Indo-Pacific first. Like, are you fucking stupid? Just say China is bad. Just say China is bad. they're trying to fucking steal our lunch money, and that's why we got to stick it to them. You don't have to talk about, like, the strategic interest that America has in the Indo-Pacific Sea. Like, what are you, fucking stupid? No Republican Fox News watcher is, like, looking at that and going, that's right, actually, I don't like that Biden is pro-Europe instead of pro-Asia. Like, are you stupid? Or are you trying to cut propaganda for fucking Joseph Robinette Biden here? Like, they're going to be like, Europe, there's a lot of white people that live there. Asia, I don't really understand what the fuck they're saying. So I think maybe not too bad.
On the stage will say that the way you deter China is to continue Ukraine indefinitely, basically a blank check. I actually think China would benefit from a multi-year quagmire. I think we need to bring that war in Europe to a conclusion, but we have to do more in the Indo-Pacific. We don't have adequate hard power. So if somebody like Xi Jinping is looking at a Taiwan amphibious invasion, he's going to calculate what the resistance is. And if we have a strategy of denying him an ability to do.
Real quick question for, like, liberal and liberal adjacent people in the chat who, like, oftentimes chirp at me about, like, my opinion on Taiwan or my opinion on Ukraine or whatever. What differentiates your perspective than, like, Ron DeSantis, for example? Like, because he's saying China bad, China wants to take over Taiwan, we have to do something, we have to beef up our hard power. And I genuinely want to know, like, what is your actual perspective on the matter that, like, differs from both Ron DeSantis and Joe Biden? Or do you just think that these guys are right, that China is trying to take over Taiwan and we have to, you know, do hard power? Like, is that what your perspective is? Like, it doesn't come as a surprise to you at all that, like, you and the American State Department are completely aligned and both sides have their own version of cutting that propaganda so that you can, like, find your own, like, choose your own adventure style way of defending the same exact opinion? Because, like, Democrats will say Taiwan is gay as fuck and China is, like, homophobic and they want to kill all the gays in Taiwan. So then Democrats are like, oh, we got to liberate Taiwan because, like, you know, that's what we care about. Republicans will go, we have to fucking flex our military might against China because China is actually, like, stealing our industry and stealing our IP or whatever the fuck, right? And they're scary. They're Asian. Like, look, they look different than us. Ew, yuck. Like, we have to kill them. And then Republicans are like, hell yeah, brother. Like, say no more. I love that shit. So there is something for everyone in the United States of America if you want to defend the and align with the American foreign policy. I know this because I was an Ameriboo growing up in Turkey who watched it happen for Iraq. I watched it happen for Afghanistan, but most importantly, I watched it happen for Iraq. Okay? I saw it. I saw the justifications for why Operation Iraqi Freedom was a necessity. It was a Republican administration that was doing it, but the way they sold it was we were bringing democracy to Iraq. There was always a perspective that you could hold on to. There was always a genuine reason as to why we have to do whatever the fuck America is doing around the world. And it doesn't matter what your point of view is. Like, there is, like, tailor-made propaganda. Taiwanese media has completely brainwashed the older generation. My dad, for example, is a hardline conservative and thinks Trump will save Taiwan. My generation sees economic cooperation as the only way to maintain status quo. Also, DeSantis is discussing he's using this point to boost himself. Okay, this is a good take. This is Show Sleepy ZZ, who I've duked it out with a little bit over Taiwan. This is, like, an actual good take. Similar thing is happening in Vietnam as well, from what I understand, despite the fact that, like, Vietnam is very different in their ideological worldview than Taiwan is, and yet, like, Vietnam also thinks that, like, China is sticking it to, Trump is sticking it to China. But yeah, economic cooperation is the way to continue in an effort not to rock the fucking boat, which is my perspective on Taiwan, which is the also prevailing overwhelming majority perspective in Taiwan as well, because any kind of deviation from the norm is going to ruin people's lives. It's going to ruin Taiwanese lives. Do you think the U.S.-Taiwan interest has more to do with proxy war stuff or the existence of semi-autonomy of TSM? I personally don't think the U.S. government gives a fuck about the Taiwanese. No, they care about the semiconductors. Important. That's really important. It has strategic importance. You know what I mean? And then beyond that, it is a really good way for America to just like kind of hold over and bully China with. Like, remember what I said? You can pick and choose your own adventure in the same way that like there will be people from every background that get enough defenses that somehow always suspiciously align with the current American foreign policy. Not 20 years down the line, after all is said and done, and we notice the impacts are devastating. But right now, okay, this is precisely what I mean. As a socialist, I don't think we should allow the Ba'athist Party to continue gassing the Kurdish people. Kurdish people are socialists in northern Iraq, and I think that we need to be aligned with them. And the best possible way to develop an autonomous Iraqi region for those socialist Iraqi Kurds is by invading Iraq and absolutely eviscerating its infrastructure. I'm a socialist, and I just gave you a socialist reason as to why America could socialistly invade Iraq. Did you notice that? Did you notice what I just said earlier when I told you that there is a pick and choose your own talking point / adventure that anyone can do to defend America's foreign policies? Autonomous Iraqi Kurdistan isn't remotely socialist. Man, I was making a joke. I know that it's not. I'm saying that fucking you can find, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be real for someone to like hold on to like the hope that America's foreign policy this time around is going to be positive. Do you not get that? The other chatter replied, what did they say? I don't want to get too far into like debating and stuff because it's unproductive in general. Yeah, instead of one more lane, our foreign policy is one more country. Yeah, this time it's real. This time it's good. And the older I get, the more I see that. Because, like, I've now lived through the this time it's actually good and necessary argument multiple times now. Like, you know, you had it with Libya. You had it with Iraq. You had it with Afghanistan. You had it with Ukraine. Like, it's always a, no. This time it's a necessary war. It's actually morally righteous. Like, our conquest is morally righteous this time. Is precisely what we're doing. And the irony is, like, we've also gotten so good at fucking outsourcing that we're basically outsourcing the hurt. Like, at this point, Ukraine is the perfect type of battle to engage in for the American government. And they openly state it. These people in positions of power openly say it, right? They're like, we are crippling the Russian military force, a foreign adversary, with 5% of our budget, with not a single American active duty service member dying. Like, that is, they're literally jerking around. They get to dump all the fucking weapons. They get to dump all of the fucking weapons into an area. They get to justify all the tax dollars spent on the military-industrial complex. Then they get to turn around and say, oh, no, we don't have any of the fucking old refurbished weapons that we gave. Now we need new weapons. So then we have to manufacture even more. And not a single American soldier dies in the process. It's fucking awesome. We have outsourced our imperialism in a certain way. Like, obviously, the Ukrainian defense and Ukrainian emancipation is a worthy, just cause, okay? But if the goal on at least one of the actors on the one side is never-ending war and conquest because they don't see any negative consequences from it and only see positives from it, America, okay? And the other side, Russia, wants like bloodthirsty land grabbing and is willing and able to throw bodies of the fucking problem Okay? You continue this forever. You can continue this as far as like Ukrainians can keep going. Defense of Ukraine is not a bad thing, no matter how you frame it. Is a good take. I love that. You're right. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is our investment is important. Our genuine perspective is important. If your goal is not true Ukrainian emancipation, which it is not, it's not harm reduction, which it's not, and it's simply to fucking throw every Ukrainian at the problem because they do genuinely want to defend Ukraine against Russian forces, okay, then you're going to do whatever it takes to continue the fucking war. You don't give a shit. You're not going to apply pressure, for example, or push the conversation in the direction that you want it to go to, for example. At which point, I find it rather gross that like America sit around and go, no, man, we're actually doing the right thing. We're actually doing a great thing from far away.